Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for being here. Really appreciate it. So my home district, neither of those places, central and eastern Montana, water infrastructure projects are essential for the survival of our rural communities, one of the most rural districts out there. Unfortunately, permitting red tape can hold these vital projects up. A lot of issues with there. Last month, we had Rick Nick, the chairman of the Dry Prairie Rural Water Systems from my home district, testify on how habitat management regulations for the greater sage grouse have substantially held up the completion of their federal water project. I'm going to start with Ms. Nielsen here. What are some of the unique barriers that federal water projects face in dealing with federal permitting in the Endangered Species Act?
Thank you for the question. So I would say some of the essential barriers are not having the ability to coordinate with the agencies ultimately making the decisions that will have a significant impact on where water flows and where water goes. Not having the ability to consistently coordinate with those agencies and review those documents and provide information that could ultimately mitigate those issues. No one has better on-the-ground knowledge than the farmers and ranchers who irrigate within a project. And when they are able to bring their expertise to the table and help inform decisions, I truly believe that it has a great benefit not only to the ag lands, but to the broader ecosystem. However, if they're not brought in, then those many times, like the Klamath Project, that has huge impacts on the water deliveries or lack of water deliveries, and ultimately is detrimental to the larger system.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And what is the current state of involvement of federal water projects and their contractors in Section 7 consultations under the ESA?
Are you asking like what the consultation process looks like right now, or the coordination process?
Yeah, basically what's that look like now? What does that process look like?
So largely it's been dependent on the discretion of the agencies, or dependent on administration to administration, how we're involved. So during the last consultation for the Klamath Project, for example, it was limited as far as the coordination between the agencies and the irrigation districts, and ultimately led to a proposed action that, given any other water year type than a really great water year, restricts the water that goes on the land. If we're looking at we've just entered a new reconsultation process this year. We're being brought to the table more frequently, and we are able to get our voice heard and coordinate and provide that essential knowledge.
Thank you for that. So what do you believe would be the impact of my colleague Congressman Bent's legislation, HR 8259, for improving the regulatory process for federal water projects? And to add on that, what would be the immediate effects of this legislation if enacted?
So the immediate effects of this legislation would be for any ESA process where a contractor is involved, if should they choose to request that coordination, then they would get that coordination when biological assessments and biological opinions are developed. What was the second part of your question, or the first part?
You handled it. I'm
Okay.
going to move on in interest of time, but thank you. I'm going to go to Mr. Fifley and Mr. Larson, just out of curiosity, if either of you faced permitting delays driven by the ESA or broader species conservation regulation.
I'll take that question since we're an existing system and they're a proposed system. The only time that we've run into that is the routing of our pipelines to avoid certain endangered weeds or plants. So we have not had an onerous impact, but we have been cognizant of it. We have to go through all the NEPA requirements, so we're very sensitive to it, but no, it has not been onerous in our case.
Right. Thank you. Anything to add, Mr. Fifley? Yeah, thank you. So unfortunately, I've run out of time, so I just want to say thank you for your answers and your participation here. Federal water projects and rural water systems are the lifeblood of communities in the western United States, and I appreciate Chairwoman Hageman for highlighting bills supporting rural water in today's hearing. And on that, Madam Chair, I yield.
Thank you.